So I've received a lot of requests on axe building tutorials. So today I'm going to make a simple tutorial on how to build a basic axe. The first thing that you want to get is your core for your weapon. You could either go PVC pipe or go a little fancy and get a fiberglass core. Today we're going to go with the PVC pipe. It's easier to get, it's cheaper, and you'll get a lot of mileage out of it. So here's the Schedule 40 1/2" PVC pipe. You can get this pretty much at any hardware store. The 1/2" refers to the inside of the pipe. The actual pipe itself is about 1 inch wide. So since I'm making a shorter axe today, I'm getting a shorter PVC pipe. Then we move on to our foam. I'm going to be using the Walmart blue camping pad. This is called Ozark Trail Camping Pad. Apparently only sold exclusively in stores. Comes out to be about around $8 after taxes. You can get a lot of mileage out of a roll of foam like that. We're going to also need some open cell foam. You don't need a lot of this. This is a 1/2" open cell foam. I purchased it from a fabric store such as Joann's. I bet you can buy them from craft stores as well. You only need this for striking surfaces, so you don't need a lot of it. We're also going to need either pipe insulation or a pool noodle used for the shaft of your axe. Pool noodles are generally cheaper, so get the pool noodle. You'll get a lot of mileage out of that too. Then we'll need some basic cloth. This is for striking surfaces. So again, while you're getting the open cell foam, just get 1/2 yard of a cloth or something like that. That will help you out. Then we're going to need the most important adhesive. I'm using the DAP Contact Cement that comes in a red can. It gets harder and harder to find in stores, I find. Most stores carry the green can. Don't get the green can because it's dried too slowly. It will not be good for what we need. If you can't find it in the store, you can always buy it off of Amazon like I did. So again, this is the DAP Contact Cement. Comes in a red can. Then we're going to move on to the more optional materials. You can get a sheet of craft foam. You can get them at craft stores. It's a thin piece of foam. You'll know why you need it later on. This is for embellishment. Further embellishment, you can get a can or two of the black PlastiDip. Don't get the one with the spray because it's just not strong enough for what you need to do. So get the black PlastiDip in the dip version. After that, you'll need the PlastiDip clear, just like the black version, but it's clear for finishing coats. Then we will need some rope for grip of your weapon. Again, this is optional materials. There's other way of making a grip. That's pretty much all the material I can think of right now. I'm sure I'll think of more as the tutorial goes on. So just start off with those and let's get started on making our weapon. So before constructing anything, you'll first need to prepare your rod. And what that means is you'll need to make sure that the ends of your PVC pipe are covered up so that they do not come through the foam. The way that I do that is I cut out 2 circle shapes on cardboard. That is the size of the rod. I put some double-sided tape around the PVC pipe, and I basically just tape this on with some duct tape, like so. There we go. And then just do it on the other side. This way, it will not come through the foam through a few hits, and that can make your weapon a little bit safer.
Alright, so the first thing we want to do to make our axe is to cut 4 equal pieces about the size of your axe head. These pictures are not drawn to scale, so your sizes may vary, but you get the idea. If you're using fiberglass core that is 1/2 inch thick, you'll actually only need 3 of these pieces. But because we're using a 1/2 inch PVC pipe, the width is actually 1 inch, so that's why we need 4 pieces. We're going to glue 2 of these pieces on top of each other using DAP. Now, if you've never used DAP before, it's not quite like any glue that you've used. In order to glue something with DAP, you'll need to put glue on both surfaces. wait for it to dry for about 20 minutes. Once it's dried, then you can glue them together. It's a very strong bond. But you have to wait the 20 or 30 minutes for it to dry. If you do not let it dry, it's not going to glue that well, and you're going to end up with a big mess. Okay, so put DAP on both sides, and you're going to glue it together like this. And that's the first step. So the next step, you'll see that you have pieces like this. You have two flat pieces that are kind of on its own, and then one piece that is stacked together. What you're going to need to do is cut out a little slot from on the foam to fit your rod. So it's however long you want to make it, and about 1 inch wide. If you see from the picture, I'm actually leaving a little bit of room above the rod and to the side of the rod. I'm leaving about 1 inch of space in front of the rod, and then about ½ an inch of space behind it. That way the rod is well padded and it's not going to risk injuring anybody. Once you cut out this little slot, you want to take that piece and glue it on top of another, and you'll see that forms a little nice tray for your rod. So now you're going to put glue on the rod and all around it, and you're going to glue the rod within, and finally you're going to close it off like a sandwich, and you're going to sandwich the rod within with 4 pieces of foam. At this stage, you probably want to leave it to dry, put some books on it, weigh it down, leave it to dry for about a day. Because this part is very crucial that it stays. If you try to rush this process before the glue is dry, it's not going to get a very good stick. Alright, so for step 3, you'll have 4 pieces of foam layered on top of each other like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to cut out a curve for what you want the beard of the axe to be. Now, it could be a little curve or it can be a big curve. It's totally up to you, but whatever it is, you have to cut through 4 different layers. So, for example, I have a picture like this. So after you cut out the beard of the axe, what you want to do is you want to take a piece of belt, probably one that you don't need anymore, and you want to reinforce the underside of that beard. Because if anything is going to break first, it's going to be that part, because that is where the most pressure is going to be coming from. So you take a piece of belt and you glue it from underneath like so. And after that, you'll see that I am starting to reinforce the axe on all sides. So I cut out a layer of foam on the top, and I cut out a layer of foam on the back. So that way the axe is well padded in every direction. Okay, so now we move on to the striking surface. I take 2 layers of foam and I glue it onto the striking surface on top of each other like that. And 1 final layer of the open cell foam, the ½ inch open cell foam that we showed earlier, and that's going to guarantee that your striking surface is nice and well padded. Step 4 is about padding up the shaft of the axe. So you'll see that I have the pool noodle. I cut out segments of the pool noodle and I basically slide it over the rod like that. Depending on the size of the pool noodle that you get, it should be a pretty good fit. This is the part where you probably can do it without having the DAP to dry. What I normally do in cases like this is I simply put the glue over the PVC pipe and a little bit of glue on the inside of the pool noodle. And while the glue is still wet, I slide the pool noodle over the pipe. The reason why I do this before it's dry, because after it's dry, it's going to glue to the first thing that it touches, and you will not be able to glue the pool noodle over the pipe anymore. So you can do this part while it's wet. After you've done that, you want to cut out another small segment of the pool noodle, and you want to build up the pommel like so. Okay, so that way you want to cover up the pommel just in case if somebody accidentally hits it, they're not going to poke out their eye. After that, you want to cut out 2 little discs of foam and pad it up, so that way again the pipe on the inside is pretty much covered on all directions, and with that many layer of foam, it hopefully wouldn't come out of the weapon. So now that we have the basic shape and structure of the axe, the rest is really up to your embellishment. So remember all that craft foam that we got? What you can do now is you can cut it up in the design and glue it onto the axe that looks cool and whatever you prefer. So in this example, I cut it out so it looks like a piece of metal, and I glue it on there, and I cut out small little discs of foam to make it look like that piece of metal is bolted onto the axe. So after that, you're pretty much done. The rest of it is just basically PlastiDip. I'm not going to go over how to do PlastiDip in this particular tutorial, but you can always look at my other tutorial to figure out how to finalize the weapon with PlastiDip.
Alright, so now that we're almost done with our weapon, we have to start thinking about what to do about the striking surface. Most groups actually require you to have cloth on the striking surface. Because this is an odd shape with an axe, it's harder to actually sew on a piece of cloth on here. So what I actually do is I actually glue the cloth onto the striking surface itself. However, I don't actually put glue on the striking surface or what's around it. What I do is I actually put glue on the edges of it. So if I had an axe like this that I want to put cloth cover on, I would actually put DAP on the outside edges like that and on the sides like that as well. And if, let's say, this is the cloth that I'm going to use, I would actually put glue on this edge and on this edge, but I actually would not put any glue in the middle, because you don't want the cloth to be glued to the actual striking surface itself. You want the cloth to be glued around it. So for example, if I have glue here and I have glue here, this cloth will simply wrap around the striking surface like this, gluing on to the edges. So the actual strike surface itself is still free to breathe, compress, stretch. It's still free to do all of that. That will fulfill the requirement of having the cloth covered striking surface. Alright, so now that we know how to make a basic axe, we can apply the technique to pretty much any project that you can think of. So for example, if you are part of a post-apocalyptic LARP and you want to make an axe that looks like a street sign, you can with that same technique. So this axe is completed with PlastiDip, so you can definitely see the amount of details that you can get with PlastiDip if you can imagine it. So if you have other questions on how PlastiDip is applied, refer to my other tutorial. The back of the weapon is basically just a Nerf football that is covered with PlastiDip, so it looks like you basically plucked this weapon out of the ground and there's still concrete attached to it. So that is basically the end of the axe tutorial. Go out there and start experimenting and making stuff, and if you have any cool project you'd like to show, put it in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. We'll see you soon.